Good morning, everyone. I'm Staff Sergeant Annette Romero from the Air Force's Personnel Center Developmental Special Duty Office.
And I'm Technical Sergeant Adriana Bascachea, also from the DSD office.
We have just opened our Fall 2023 DSD cycle, which runs from August to December. DSD is a nominative process that occurs twice a year during the spring and fall, providing commanders an opportunity to nominate their airmen to fill these positions.
The Air Force has identified developmental special duty as enlisted developmental positions due to their unique leadership roles and the airmen's responsibility to mentor and mold future leaders. To ensure the highest quality airmen are assigned to these key positions, the Air Force has implemented a nomination process.
The nomination process will provide commanders, through their respective MAJCOM, an opportunity to nominate their best airmen to fill these critical positions while providing a developmental career path. Our program focuses on nominations for staff, technical, and master sergeants. Developmental special duties are temporary in nature and performed by airmen for a period of 3 to 4 years.
We are here to give you the most up-to-date information on the Fall 2023 DSD cycle and answer any questions you may have about the program. Type your questions in the comment section and we will answer them either during the briefing and/or directly to you in the comments. So are you interested in DSD? Let's get to it!
Here's an overview of the topics we will cover in this video. We'll start by providing a DSD program overview that includes a visual of the Fall 2023 cycle's timeline and the DSD match matrix and how this helpful tool can assist you. Followed by a discussion on the eligibility criteria for DSD, the commander's nomination window, and the airman's responsibilities and expectations.
We'll give some of the most common reasons airmen are non-selected for DSD in the Why I Wasn't Selected portion of this brief. We will also discuss some recent changes to the program and provide points of contact for any questions. If we didn't cover your question during this presentation, we'll continue to answer them in the comment section.
We'll start with the DSD program overview. The fall cycle begins in August and ends in December. Assignments for Fall 2023 cycle will have report no later than dates of April 2024 through September 2024. The Air Force has identified 5 special duties as enlisted developmental positions. Those AFSCs are outlined here as military training instructor, military training leader, professional military education instructor, recruiter, and developmental advisors. AFSCs that are nominated and selected within the DSD cycle are also outlined in this slide.
Next, we'll address our biannual requirements. Each cycle, there are approximately 15,000 to 20,000 airmen initially eligible. Of that 15,000 to 20,000 eligible candidates, about 14,000 to 15,000 are screened and reviewed by the MAJCOMs. After vetting and reviewing eligibility rosters, wings and MAJCOMs nominate approximately 5,000 to 6,000 airmen to fill approximately 1,000 vacancies each cycle. That is a selection rate of approximately 5 to 7%. If you compare this percentage from the initial group of eligible airmen, that is an extremely competitive process. 1,000 airmen are selected from the 15,000 eligible airmen.
Here is a visual of the Fall 2023 cycle timeline. The cycle starts in August with AFPC's internal process. This includes analyzing DSD requirements and working career field manager releases. Commanders and MAJCOM A1s have 4 weeks to vet and nominate airmen who are eligible for DSD consideration. Once the nomination window closes in October, we proceed to the matching process. In November, AFPC begins matching or selecting the most eligible candidates for further screening by hiring authorities. Once the matching window closes in December, we move to what's called the cycle's closing actions. This includes loading assignment actions and a cycle hot wash. Lastly, you'll see the report no later than dates range from April 2024 to September 2024.
Now we'll briefly talk about the DSD match matrix. This document is updated at the beginning of each week of the matching phase and published to the Developmental Special Duty My FSS website. The DSD match matrix is our way of providing transparency during the matching process. The legend breaks down how to interpret the matrix. It is broken down into 4 categories. No requirement, meaning there were no vacancies for that AFSC at that specified rank. There will not be any assignments. Matching, meaning we are currently in the process of selecting candidates for that AFSC at that specified rank. Matched, meaning we have selected candidates for that AFSC at that specified rank and all vacancies have been filled. Not started, meaning we have not begun to select candidates for that AFSC at that specified rank at that moment. The match matrix is a great tool to use when you're interested in knowing where AFPC is in the matching process. We highly encourage the field to use this resource available on our MyFSS website. Once we finish matching all of the AFSCs listed, we will send the selection rosters to our pre-screening teams for further processing.
Let's talk the basic nomination eligibility criteria. Members must be in the grades of Staff Sergeant through Master Sergeant and be able to obtain retainability through the end of the DSD tour. In addition, in order to be selected for a DSD AFSC, the member must not have an assignment on file already. In regard to performance reports, the member's last 3 EPRs will be considered. Under the current EPR system, members' EPRs must reflect AC or LC. Concerning fitness tests, the standard for DSD aligns with the Air Force's past standard of 75. The only caveat for DSD consideration is the member cannot have a PT failure in the past 12 months. Lastly, the member must have no record of disciplinary action that resulted in an Article 15 or UIF within the past 3 years. Member also cannot have any record of a conviction by court-martial. Please note that for the recruiting career field, candidates must not have any action that resulted in an Article 15 throughout their entire career. Other AFSCs may require more documents according to the SPCAT guide, which is the Special Duty Catalog Guide. All our PSCGs are located on MyFSS.
This slide provides information regarding the commander's nomination. As discussed previously when talking through the cycle timeline, commanders have a 30-day window for nominations. It is suggested that unit leadership vector airmen into a DSD that matches the members' skill sets to ensure a successful tour. The nomination roster, Developmental Special Duty Personnel Services Delivery Guide, Special Duty Assignment Category Guide, CFM Releases Roster, and DSD Match Matrix are all tools provided to ensure the commander's nominative process is a smooth one. AFPC only requires 1 vector for DSD candidates, with the second vector being optional but highly encouraged. However, each MAJCOM varies, and we ask that you consult with your MAJCOM A1 to verify vector expectations. If there is more than 1 vector, they must be rank ordered as primary and secondary. Once members are nominated, they will only be considered and selected within their first or second vectors. Another factor for commanders to consider is, if an airman has previously served in a DSD position, they must have returned to their primary AFSC for at least 3 years before being nominated again. Lastly, the approval authority to remove members no longer qualified for DSD is the wing commander. So, if a member presents a unique hardship, no longer meets eligibility criteria, or is no longer fit for DSD consideration, a DSD removal memo must be signed by the wing commander and routed up to AFPC.
Now we'll touch on some of the airmen's responsibilities. Throughout the entire DSD process, communication is key. If you are interested in serving in a DSD, please communicate that interest to your leadership. If you are selected for a DSD assignment, immediately notify your MPF Career Development Office and Chain of Command of any conditions that would render you ineligible for said assignment. Airmen selected will receive notification from their pre-screening teams on the next steps. Not completing SPCAT requirements is not an option. Another responsibility of the airmen is to verify your records are up to date and to ensure you are being considered and screened accurately and efficiently. Lastly, airmen who are nominated will be vulnerable for DSD assignment selection for up to 6 months, as AATC can take up to 6 months to run mini cycles after initial DSD selection. This vulnerability does not prevent members from applying or obtaining any specific assignment selection, AMS, OS, BOP, etc., unless officially selected and notified of DSD selection. Please channel any questions or concerns you may have through your respective MAJCOM A1.
Here, we will try to tackle the big question: why wasn't I selected? There are a multitude of reasons why a member may not have been selected for DSD. We will provide some of the most common reasons in this portion of the video. First and foremost, the number of airmen who are eligible and nominated are far more than the number of vacancies. To reiterate, there can be up to 20,000 eligible members competing to fill up to 1,000 requirements. So, the most frequent reason a member was not selected for DSD assignment is all requirements were filled by airmen who were more eligible based on assignment rules.
Another common reason airmen may not have been selected for DSD is there were limited or no career field manager releases available. There are times when CFMs provide limited or no release at all. This usually occurs when their career field is critically manned. The CFM determines how many allocations can be released in accordance with the Air Force needs. The CFM releases are posted on the DSD My FSS page. The next common reason airmen may not have been selected for DSD is high-year tenure restrictions. As mentioned previously, airmen must be able to obtain retainability throughout the entire DSD tour. If they are unable to obtain the retainability, they will not be considered. And lastly, selective retention bonus obligations or requirements not being met. To be eligible for DSD, the member must complete at least 50% of their SRB term unless the member received 100% upfront and has completed 50% of their enlistment in their primary AFPC. First-term airmen will verify their eligibility from their initial enlistment contract. We ask that MAJCOM submit SRB waiver worksheets on eligible members during the nomination part of the cycle. If it is not received when the nominations are sent in, the member will not be selected. We hope this section of the brief addressed some of the questions or concerns regarding non-selection.
There have been several changes to the DSD program over the years. Some of those changes are outlined here. First and foremost, first-term airmen are now eligible for recruiting for Staff Sergeant through Tech Sergeant ranks. Next, 8B200 Academy Military Training AMT NCOs, 8B300 Air Force ROTC instructors, and 8G100s U.S. Air Force Honor Guard are now being processed through Equal Plus and require individual CFM releases separate from this cycle. Lastly, local hires, 8T200s, still fall under the DSD umbrella, but the hiring process is owned and operated at the wing level. AFPC is still the final approval authority for local hires, and they require an additional CFM release that is also separate from the CFM releases during the cycle.
Over the past couple of cycles, we have made efforts to increase communication through target messaging. There are 3 messages sent directly to all airmen throughout the DSD process. The first is a message informing qualified airmen they are eligible for DSD consideration. The second is a congratulatory message sent directly to all airmen who were nominated by their commanders. The third message is an announcement of DSD cycle closure, which provides guidance for those who were selected. In addition to the target messages, the final selection roster is sent to the MAJCOMs for dissemination to the wings for commanders to announce final selections. Final selection rosters are posted on our My FSS site at the end of each cycle.
So we've discussed some changes and some of our efforts to better communicate with you throughout the process. Now we'll touch on what we need from you. We ask that leaders put forth their best effort in nominating the right people for DSD. In addition to considering an airman's personality, skill set, and potential, use the tools and resources available, such as the DSD PSD guide and SPCAT guide, and become familiar with eligibility criteria. And last but not least, communication at all levels is a must. From the unit through the MAJCOM A1s and to AFPC and HAF, we know that the DSD program is executed more effectively and efficiently when communication is clear and frequent.
Here are the best ways to contact the DSD office here at AFPC with any questions or concerns. You can call the Total Force Service Center at commercial 210-565-0102, toll free 800-525-0102, or DSN 665-0102, or send an email to our org box listed here. Thank you for joining us today.
We hope this video was informative and answered most, if not all, of your questions.
The Developmental Special Duty Program nomination season is here, and the upcoming nomination phase will be in full swing by September 2023. Please work with your local leadership and MAJCOM A1s for specific questions regarding vectoring and nomination. Nominations will be accepted through October 2023. We look forward to seeing your name.